Live. There it is. We are live and ready to rock and roll on this Monday. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Weather Center Nazario, Weather Center Live. Here on May 27th, 2024. Happy Memorial Day to everybody out there. I hope you are taking advantage of the holiday weekend, the holiday today. If you have the time off, some of us don't have the time off today. I was blessed to actually have today off, and to tell you the truth, I was rather ecstatic about it. So here we are. That's kind of the reason I delayed this live stream a little bit. We'll go ahead and start rolling on in here. I do apologize for folks who were anticipating our 9 a.m. tropical update, but, you know, in all honesty, we really don't have just about anything to talk about today. A lot of it is once again going to be primarily speculation as to when this hurricane season is going to get started. So, you know, that's part of the reason I delayed it, and I almost considered not doing it at all whatsoever, but here we are. I'm not going to let you guys down. I told you we would be consistent with this content, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to talk tropics today, and we're going to kind of review the hellacious severe thunderstorm activity and tornadic activity that has been affecting not only the Great Plains Tornado Alley, but the lower Great Lakes, the Midwest. It has been incredible up there. The last couple of days have been just a total onslaught of very bad weather for our folks up there near the Great Lakes, particularly Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee. As you can see on the satellite here, we still have stuff going on, as a matter of fact, and I just realized, let me shrink this down so you guys can see what I see instead of just having it zoomed in as much as I did. There we go. That's much better, much better. Now we can see the entire area of interest. So good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining in. I'm going to tell you right out of the gate, if you are just joining us, not a whole lot to discuss today. So if you don't want to hear theories, if you don't want to hear speculation, if you don't want to hear just true, gritty, undetermined gray area forecasting, then this might not be for you. We're going to get started. I took some constructive criticism. Supposedly a few people thought last time I was talking a little bit too much about myself. So let's get on in here. We'll say hello first before we get on going. Richard, thank you very much for joining, and thank you kindly for the $2 donation. I do sincerely appreciate that. A wonderful way to start off this live stream on Monday morning. Nia1331 morning, waiting from Trinidad. Thank you for joining. Kevin Howdy from Tallahassee. Braden's WC, good morning, everyone. Hi from Stewart, Florida. Let's see, who else do we have in the chat today? I know I saw somebody else. Cheese Grater 619. Good morning. Matthew F150, thanks, brother, for joining in today. It's good to see you in the chat. Crayon, hello there. Axeballer75, hello. Nazario, drinking iced coffee at a breakfast place. Wow, very good. I kind of wish I could join you. I have my watered-down coffee that was brewed earlier today, but you know what? It does the trick, especially after a long-winded workout. It was an incredible workout to start the day, and I think that's exactly why I'm motivated to do this, regardless of if we have anything to talk about. So, first things first, these are our entities. We have 1 week tropical wave that's moving through our eastern central Caribbean that, again, of course, folks are fixating on. We have the microscope on it. Is it going to develop? Is it going to develop? It's not. It is not going to develop. I'm sorry, guys. I hate to break your hearts. It's breaking my heart to tell you the truth. It is not going to develop. It is producing a little bit of organized thunderstorm activity for Puerto Rico, the U.S. British Virgin Islands. It did produce some heavier rainfall for our Lesser Antilles. And you could see a little bit of convection still lingering through the likes of Venezuela and Colombia. But other than that, we're not quite there yet. I think the excitement of this hyperactive hurricane season has us sitting at the edge of our seats waiting for the first Category 5 to ignite. And I'm here to tell you, alongside other sources out there, that we're just not there yet. We're just not seeing it. Hashtag JNSI, just not seeing it. We have a second tropical wave right out here. This little puppy's running along the intertropical convergence zone, that ITCZ out there, just to the south of where all of our Saharan dust is. So, if I can be blunt, that is one, I guess you can say, exciting factor that we have to play with here. Even though there was a lot of discussion far before the hurricane season started that the Saharan dust layer out there was going to inhibit a lot of our development, it doesn't look like it is, because we've already had 2 tropical waves wander their way through the MDR. It's just unfortunate we don't have as much abundant moisture, as much favorable upper-level conditions in the uppermost portions of the atmosphere to get these bad boys going, and the dust is to the north. You can kind of see it here pretty much plain as day. If you look through here, we have very, very, very dry conditions, that classic open cell cumulus look. It might be a little difficult for you guys to see on this infrared satellite, but there's a lot of open cell cumulus indicative of the subsidence out there, the dry air, the sinking air that doesn't allow anything. Notice that that area highlighted in yellow is completely void of any significant cloud cover. But then right along that southern periphery, just as we've talked about a few times on this channel already, we've had our wave train train. We had 1, and now we have numero dos moving along towards the west-northwest at about 12 to 15 miles an hour. So they're moving at a steady pace, too. It's just, again, climatologically speaking, we're not there yet to where these things are going to develop into anything. If this does stay right around that point, in latitude between 8 to 10 degrees, this will be a problem for our northern South American countries, the Lesser Antilles, particularly the Windward Islands. So we'll have to see exactly how much this wiggles and wobbles. I'm still looking for this kind of northwesterly curve as we roll into the first couple of weeks of June, but that remains to be seen. It hasn't happened just yet. Looks like it might be trying to initiate somewhere right in through here. It seems there's a very small finger of convergent flow in the low levels, but that remains to be seen. The GFS is also hyping this up, as always. It doesn't look as aggressive anymore, to tell you the truth. The GFS was predicting we were going to get another low pressure and do almost exactly the same thing as our last tropical system, which was not tropical, guys. I hope you detected the sarcasm there. This here, the GFS was thinking it was going to float up towards the north and then boomerang back out to sea like this. Truthfully, that's neither here nor there. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I really just hope that that's not the general takeaway once again, that this is going to be another hype hurricane season. There's a lot of instability in the social media waves, and we're all just kind of here biting our nails, waiting for something to happen, and we all need to realize that it is still only May 27th. We are not really into the hurricane season. Was there a lot of chatter that we were going to see preseason development? Yes, but not yet. We are also transitioning in enzos and or historically speaking, I'll say, instead of using all this huge jargon, for record's sake, as we move through these enzo swaps, these huge night and day differences on a global scale, that is going to play a role in terms of what happens on the grander scale in the Pacific and in the tropical Atlantic basin. This is what's left of that area of interest that everybody else was talking about. It did not do anything, just as, if you guys have been watching this channel, we'd mentioned nothing's going to happen. Oh, but it could. Nothing's going to happen. Oh, but really, and nothing happened. So we can mark that off as a non-factor, unfortunately. Let's see, who else is joining us? Avery Thompson, good morning. Linda, thank you very much for joining us. Hey, Naz, do you have an email or something where I could send you a photo of a possible tornado? Absolutely. I'll go ahead and drop it in the chat as well. Just please, guys, do not spam me with random things. I'm thinking of making a whole totally different email that I can provide for you guys, especially once I roll out memberships. Bob Brown, thank you for joining us in Jamaica. Same thing with Jerry. Good morning. You're going. I'm from Jamaica. Thank you very much for tuning in. I think the Saharan dust will cause hurricane season to be slightly less active than what was predictive. See, Ice Cube, we were just talking about that. I don't know, because our wave train is already out there. It's just unfortunate that the rest of the parameters have not come into alignment for development, but we still have our things working their way through the Atlantic. Tommy, thank you for joining. When they lie and say they could be a very, 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 very hurricane season with nothing going on right now, well, to tell you the truth again, Tommy, it's not that people are lying. It's the fact that we also have to recognize that if we really wanted to boil it down to black and white, it's not hurricane season yet. I know a lot of folks, including myself, have started our tropical updates with the idea that maybe it would be worth talking about, but truthfully, you look at the calendar and we're just not there yet. We're not into June. Once we get through June and well into June, if we were at this time next month, 20, 30 days down the road, maybe we'd be singing a totally different tune. Who's to say? We might see some things begin to bubble up as we get towards the end of June. So let's continue to monitor and just kind of take it day by day. I think we should probably do, as Richard had mentioned in the very beginning of this discussion, is, if it is on a hiatus, if we're not seeing anything really blossoming, that's a good sign, because I'm sure a lot of people are not taking this serious. And when it does kick off, Lord, God forbid, it does end up going full swing. At that point, it's only a matter of minutes you're going to have to really predict and prepare. So before we go any further, I wanted to bring this up. You could see we had a cataclysmic severe weather outbreak yesterday, and we had 14 tornado reports, a number of confirmed tornadoes, not potentially, but particularly dangerous events that unfolded. The same can be said for the 25th if you go back in time, even more widespread coverage. I remember, if you follow me on my TikTok profile, I had mentioned very distinctly that the eastern half of the United States is seeing severe weather, not scattered in coverage to where everywhere you look, every corner county of the states on the eastern half of the U.S. was seeing it, but everybody got a little touch of severe weather, and these do not include the special weather statements and the flood warnings that were ongoing with a lot of this stuff as well. So a incredibly busy last couple of days, very catastrophic last couple of days as well. I've been seeing reports, damage reports coming out left and right. Last night, a lot of us went to bed, and yeah, as PM just mentioned, by the way, welcome in, PM. Thank you very much for joining us. Last night, Kentucky saw a very, very powerful wedge tornado that went through. You could see the debris ball was easily upwards of a mile or so wide. And that's just the debris signature on radar, not regarding the rest of the supercell. So it was a massive system out there. Definitely thoughts, prayers, and any sort of positive energy that we can send subliminally to those folks. You know, I'm not going to kind of riddle it to you. I'm not going to try to spell it out or rhyme or reason it. It's just, unfortunately, the nature of the beast. And for all we know, and again, here we go with the theorizing, the speculating, for all we know, it could possibly be a sign of what's going to happen this hurricane season. Because if you guys recall, we had almost the same exact setup roll out in March. Even Dr. Reed Timmer on his social media had made a post about it a few times, and he even aired it out on certain live streams that they did, the Team Dominator station. He had mentioned, we're all excited and we're all in that pre-tornado season jitter to where every single storm that comes through, we're going to get excited and kind of focus on it, hyperfixate on it. And then, it kind of ended up busting this and that. But now that we're well into the back end, because we're slowly headed towards the very tail end of severe weather season. As we go through June, it is going to start to calm down a little bit. And notice that now it's again and again and again. It's like we went from just taking jabs to now all of a sudden we got like a whole barrage of punches coming at us. And it looks like we're not out of the woods just yet. Today the threat is going to trickle into the Appalachians, the Mid-Atlantic, and the Southeast. So we're just going to continue to monitor. And if you follow me on my TikTok, or if you have the means of doing so, Instagram or TikTok, I provide daily severe weather updates as well. So if you're not too keen or curious about the tropics because there's nothing going on, then feel free to follow me on those other social medias, or don't do it at all. I mean, I'd appreciate the support, but I'm not going to, Here's pretty much the song and dance. 48 hours, nothing expected in the next 7 days. Like I said, and I always mention this, I'm not going to stop mentioning it because it's just clickbaiting. It's trying to get you guys riled up and, get the subs, get that revenue up. People are going to start talking about this. People have been once again talking about this area. Nothing's going to happen. I'm very confident. I'm not even going to try to theorize or shoot blanks. We're going to have rain. We're going to have some increased, precip activity, but nothing is going to develop. Nothing tropical is going to develop. Our tropical wave is here, and it's going to continue to move off this way. What happens down here and moves north, if it does, is not tropical in nature. Once again, it's moisture being pulled up from our Pacific monsoonal trough, all that convective activity that you see nestled in over the northwest of South America and Central America. It's not tropical. We do have, and as I mentioned already, we're going to look at our analysis chart this morning. I love these charts because they give you the big picture. Here's your ITCZ. Notice it comes down almost like a roller coaster and just moves due west right along this latitudinal line right here. I'm not even sure if that's the 10 degree. I don't think so. I think 10 degree is here. I believe that's well south of 10 degrees still. Yeah, that's 5 degrees. So this is where we would want it. If we're really looking for a active and impactful hurricane season, we'd want this ITCZ to set itself up right around that 10-degree latitude line as we roll through the likes of June, July, and into August. If that's the case, then they're going to be kicking right into the Lesser Antilles, maybe scraping through the ABC Islands, the northern periphery, the northern coasts of Venezuela, and then moving into our Caribbean basin. If it doesn't establish itself there, if it pulls a 2023 on us like this and moves up towards that 12 to 15 degree latitude line, it's going to be quite a bit of not only fish storms and hype just like last year, but it's also going to have a much greater impact on mixing with our Saharan dust layer. So we'll have to wait and see. We're still watching and monitoring, but here are our two tropical waves right here. We have one puppy right there, and then another one just kicking it just to the south of Dominican Republic. Both of them are moving off at a steady pace of about 10 to 15 knots towards the west, west-northwest. Not expected to develop over the next foreseeable future. We're going to very rapidly blast through this because, truthfully, I'm not on board with a lot of this. These are still just showing us where we could see signals of activity. Towards the end of June, the latter half of June, and even the middle of June, our Caribbean AOI becomes a lot more favorable. So yeah, we'll have to continue to monitor. I've been seeing ensemble trends doing something with energy down here in the Caribbean, pulling it up like so in one way, shape, or form. We'll look at those in a minute, but again, nothing really concrete. Same thing can be said for our Genesis product here. If you go all the way through to 8 June, things are still just being highlighted in the same spots. And at this point, I feel like we're playing Where's Waldo? We just have to find the vorticity amidst all these areas that are highlighted for possible development. Let's see. Yamil, hello, Nazario. I like your channel. I'm from Miami. Well, hello there, neighbor from Southern Florida. Thanks for joining us. The news said 15. Wow. The news said 15 people died. That's terrible. See, and that's why on the inside, I really wish I could do more than just simply sit here at a desk and talk about it. Anybody can do that, and it's very frustrating. It disappoints me that all I can sit here and do is blast hot air into a microphone at you guys. One day, that's the long-term goal, to actually be able to go physically to these places and assist. That's exactly what we're going to be doing hurricane season. I don't care if I run myself nearly broke or to the point of, death because I'm so exhausted. We're going to be helping out on the coastal areas and wherever areas that need relief and whatnot, if and when these tropical cyclones really get going. So here are the European ensembles, and as we go through time, once again, we've lost a lot of confidence that anything is going to be trying to sneak its way out of the Caribbean. It looks like the ensembles are picking up on something in the Gulf. We've seen that signature before, not a whole lot of confidence on it, and as you can see, we have one ensemble member that comes out of the Caribbean. That's it. One little ensemble member. The East Pac, however, the Euro still kind of favors a little bit of activity, and I think it's trying to indicate that perhaps one, if not the second tropical wave is just going to move through like so and work its way into the East Pac. We shall see. It really depends. GFS, again, has pretty decent ensemble agreement at 0Z that something is going to try to come out of the Caribbean and move in that same general fashion up towards Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and we will continue to watch. We'll continue monitoring. I'm not taking my eyes off the tropics at all, guys, just because I'm not confident that anything is going to be happening. We'll still continue to watch, but the GFS is its own lone wolf once again right now. Thinking that over the next couple of days we could have anything besides anything between, I should say, a disorganized low pressure center to a full-on Category 2 hurricane moving its way up through the Turks and Caicos, Cuba, Jamaica, and the Cayman Islands. So regardless, we'll be watching for that rain, flood, high wind threat. But in terms of organized tropical cyclone development, if you look, ensembles start popping within the next 3 to 4 days. And National Hurricane Center doesn't have anything on their chart, so I'm going into this with a grain of salt. I'm not only basing that off of what Hurricane Center is showing, but I'm also just looking at all the signals and the patterns here. And since our last tropical discussion, a lot of the confidence has gone down the toilet. We had really good run-to-run consistency between different models, different ensembles, different mid to long-range products, and now they're kind of doing this. They're doing the wide right and the wide left dance, and that's why I'm personally just, if it happens, sure. If it doesn't, I'm not going to be surprised. Same thing with our Canadian ensembles. Canadian ensembles don't really do a whole lot down there. They're still whispering to us that maybe right around the 4th or the 5th of June, we could see something wander its way out of the Caribbean, but even this ensemble support has gone down, and it has been pushed further into time now that we get into the 2nd to 3rd week of June. Ensembles are still thinking that something might try to come up towards the Cayman Islands, move towards Cuba, I was going to say the Bahamas, then the Bahamas and southern Florida. So for, who was it? Let's see, let me go back to the chat, Yamil. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Southern Florida, middle of June, we'll have to continue to monitor and see what could possibly be trying to sneak its way out of the Canadian ensembles are thinking, but still seeing something. We're still seeing very, very subtle whispers, nothing concrete. And I have not looked at the CFS in quite a little bit of time, so we'll see exactly what's going on here. I'll just take you through the loop very rapidly so we can see and make a case. So the CFS does in fact think that something might try to sneak its way out of the Caribbean over the next couple of days. If you look, very disorganized. It takes it a little bit further towards the north, towards Cayman Islands, western Cuba, and then up towards the Florida Keys than the GFS does, and then it swoops it out to sea. So that's a little erroneous. I'm not too sure if that's what's going to play out, but it is interesting to note that our CFS is one small piece of the puzzle in terms of, oh, maybe something will try to, come up, and at least a disorganized area of active weather might try to move its way towards the southern Florida Peninsula, the Cayman Islands, Key takeaway, because I know I do have viewers in there, not only people watching right now from Jamaica, but also the Cayman Islands. I have a number of folks out there who love to tune into these live streams. Key takeaway here is just, again, we've been talking about this for the last week now. Monitor your rain trends, because it does seem like regardless of development, non-development, if anything's even out there, you're going to see your rain chances really begin to go up. And then as we wander through the likes of June, it looks like the CFS is looking at the MDR and the Caribbean trying to get a little active. What I'm noticing here, though, which truthfully, in my opinion, is a little bit discouraging, is it looks like we're looking at least in terms of between now and the end of June, we're looking at 2023 2.0. Because it looks like the general trend here, at least the general thinking with our CFS, naturally we need to watch more than just the CFS, but as of right now, anything that gets going in the MDR is going to do a Lee, Nigel, and so on and so forth. We're looking at a lot of this possibly happening, so, and I'm not hoping for anything destructive, but I'm also, with all the excitement surrounding this hurricane season, I would like to at least get one or two verifications here. I would like us, all the excitement, all the paranoia, all the extreme this, historic that, rare this, hyper this, all the verbiage that everybody, even all the way up to NOAA, has put on the table. It's going to be make or break. It's either going to be a big old bust, and that's scary, because all the way up to NOAA, the big boss of hurricane preliminary predictions, has used very, very sensational terminology. So if nothing happens, I feel as if that's going to be very, very destructive moving forward. Not through this hurricane season. I'm talking 3, 5, 7, 10 years from now. The general populace are really going to stop watching. You're going to have your general viewer base who loves to be excited about the hype. I mean, there's channels out there who do nothing but just hype things up, and people will still watch and say, brilliant forecast, you're the best on YouTube, and nothing ever happens. You're going to have a lot of the people like you guys and all of my other viewers out there who do follow for the facts, for the science, for the realism, and you're all going to be like, well, nothing happened. Y'all are liars. I'm not listening to you ever again. Even the officials, the folks you were claiming are the pros of the pros of the pros, the best of the best of the best, nothing happened. And so that's why I'm weary. I'm seeing these signals that things are going to be going out to sea and nothing's really going to happen, and that concerns me. Not necessarily for landfall purposes, but because of the fact that people are really, really all in on this hurricane season, and if nothing comes to fruition, I feel like we're going to lose even more of the population, and we're going to lose that respect, and we're going to lose that commitment that we have to actually trying to communicate the realistic word. And as I'm giving you guys that frivolous speech, we're looking through the latest GFS, and as you can see, GFS still has something trying to get its act together. It gets very quickly smothered and squashed, and then sucked back over Jamaica, Hispaniola, and eastern Cuba, probably elevating our rain chances in Puerto Rico once again as well, depending on if this shakes out. We will see. If you go over to the European model, I've been seeing other sources, and I'm not going to name names, I've been seeing sources mention that the European model is on board with development, and I'm kind of just like this. Because again, if we go through the 0Z European model, you can see that there's nothing. There's nothing. There's rain chances, exactly what we've been talking about. There's an increased area of, it looks almost like maybe an inverted trough right in through here, moving along the backside, the southwest quadrant of our Atlantic high pressure up here in the right-hand corner, but I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of big names out there. I'm not going to name them because this is going to go to the internet, but there's a lot of big channels out there with hundreds of thousands of subscribers mentioning that we have model agreement, development, and I'm looking at this, and in my professional and personal humble opinion, I don't see anything. In fact, like I said, I could honestly say, nothing's happening, guys. We'll see you Wednesday, and just end the live stream, and you will have not missed anything. The Canadian model, we go back down towards the Caribbean Sea, and we go through the 0Z run, and nothing. I'm just going to blast through these because, look, nothing. I mean, area of disturbed weather, we might want to watch this and see if there's any kind of mid-level vorticity that tries to come together, but it's just a lot of open energy. Same thing with the Icon. The Icon usually does a very, very phenomenal job in its mid to or short to mid-range runs, highlighting any kind of potential development, and the Icon doesn't have anything. Once again, Icon is bringing up rain chances for areas. The Windward Islands are going to see their rain chances go up, which has been kind of the misnomer for a while now. As that intertropical convergence zone kind of bows up towards the northwest, you can expect that precip steering flow is going to drive moisture into your neck of the woods. Some decent activity down near Central America might be a gyre trying to come together as the MJO finally makes its way across the Pacific and then resets back into the more optimal phases for us to see that rising motion, that upward vertical motion, and the diffluence that we need at 300 and 200 millibars. But I mean, there's nothing really out there. You look at I don't know. Oh, well, yeah, there's this. There is one feature out there that's pretty intense going on out there. We have Iwanyar. I'm pretty sure I just messed that up. But we have a cyclone out there, and I'm not even sure where this is. I forget. Is this the West Pacific? Yes, it is. In the Western Pacific, just off the Philippines. I should have noticed the Philippines and would have known right there. But there is a typhoon, is it a typhoon or is it a cyclone? Why am I suddenly acting slow? Anyways, we do have a cyclone out there just outside of the Philippines that did make a landfall very quickly and then shot back out to sea, trying to make its escape, although it is not expected to continue to intensify through the rest of its life cycle. We'll continue to see it spin off towards the islands up towards here, headed towards Japan. It probably will not make it, but we will see. That's probably the only entity out there to really talk about. And, you can see our NOAA probabilities over the next 48 hours. Weak area here, just signaling that we do have a tropical wave out there. And then down here where we still have tropical energy, vorticity, nothing organized. There is one thing I would like to talk to you guys about, and that's this. So this has been brought up in conversation a lot, and it's kind of ruining, and this is why I didn't bring this up, and I didn't make it the focal point of a lot of my videos. Because again, even though I like to theorize, even though I like to speculate, and I like to kind of forecast and come to conclusion, I didn't want to make it the end-all, be-all, especially being as far away from hurricane season as we are. That is definitely a very weird signal. Our subtropics up towards the mid-latitudes are suddenly and rapidly warming up. And there's folks that are really thinking that this is possibly going to either derail the predictions of hurricane season or possibly change the look. It could go one of two ways. This could either be a fish storm type of season, or this could possibly be another 2020. Because if we come over here and take a look at our current surface anomalies, and I'm going to see if you guys catch the issue here. I'm going to just wait and see if someone calls me out in the chat. If you take a look at our current sea anomalies, you can see that it almost looks like the greatest heat concentration is now through the central Atlantic down into the tropics, and our El Nino has completely collapsed and our La Nina is beginning to build in. Now, is anybody going to notice the error here? Is anybody going to QA what it is that I'm briefing? I'll give it a second. We lost a few viewers. I'm surprised. Oh, there we go. Now we're going back up again. I'm waiting. I want somebody in the chat to call me out here, because there is something very wrong with this picture. Extreme Weather Chaser Theo, thank you very much for joining in. I'll give you guys another 20 seconds before people start tuning out, because it just looks like I'm looking at you guys or I'm frozen. There we go, Ice Cube. Thank you very much. Somebody called me out. So this is 2024. This is 2020. And the only reason I bring this up is because this kind of makes 2020 just a bit more of a ideal analog. And the reason being is, look at how cool the southern hemispheric tropical Atlantic was, and look at the overall tropical basin, and then look at the subtropics and the mid-latitudes at 2020. And then obviously we had our La Nina. This is August 3rd of 2020, and the La Nina was very, very readily apparent, ready to rock and roll. And if you come over to our 2024 anomalies, we're almost starting to see a bit more of that representation now, because now we're starting to see, if you look, this is our current anomalies as well. If you notice, the horseshoe shape that everybody and their mother was talking about is almost gone. We almost don't have a horseshoe shape anymore. Our coldest waters are now just off the European coast of Portugal, Spain, and the northern European countries, I forget. I know this is Iceland, this is possible. I think this is the United Kingdom up here. The UK, off the west coast of UK, we have our coldest anomalies. We have a little bit of cooler temps to the north of our Gulf Stream, but if you notice, everything is hot at this point. We still have a positive AMM, Atlantic Meridional Mode, which favors tropical cyclone activity in our Atlantic, but notice that almost everything is hot now. Our cooler anomalies that were off the East Coast has definitely changed up big time. Now I'm going to disagree with you there. These are not really weekly fluctuations because this has been going on for a considerable amount of time to where now on the actual anomaly, again, guys, this isn't the 7-day change. This is the 7-day change. And this has been going on for the last, I want to say, 2.5 weeks now. And if you come over to our overall surface anomaly, in fact, I'll come back over here and I'll open it up so we can just look at the Atlantic specifically. See that? These are our actual anomalies, and our greatest heat now is actually right off the coastline, down through the Bahamas, the Keys, into the Caribbean, and we actually have, thanks to our dust, cooler anomalies over the tropical Atlantic. Our subtropics are almost dominating at this point. So this could go either way. This is going to either dork up the hurricane season, and it's 2023, 2010 all over again, and nothing happens. I mean, we do get a lot of activity, but everything's just going to be woo and maybe trying to come up close and we were just kidding, nothing's going to happen. Or this could be 2020 again. Because the thing with this here is we're going to have an area of greater instability and rising air across much of the North Atlantic, period. And if we go back to 2020 and look at the actual hurricane season for 2020, as we're all very familiar with, the thing that made 2020 very active is the fact that we had development everywhere. And the reason that this could be on the table for this year, let me zoom this in so you guys can see a little bit better. I was kind of hoping this chart would be a bit bigger. There we go. Now we can see a lot better. If you notice, we had development in the subtropics. We had quite a bit of development in the subtropics, actually. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different storms that developed in the subtropics. And then we had a lot of MDR activity, but notice a lot of our MDR...
Our weather systems that sometimes become depressions.
Shut up, Weather Channel. Okay, never mind. We're not going to use that. We're not going to use that. I don't know what just happened there. Let's go to this website, because I know I can zoom in on the chart perfectly for you guys. There we go. And the problem with this is we had a lot of activity in the Atlantic, but we also had even more activity in the Caribbean, the Gulf, off the East Coast. So now it could go either way. We're either going to see 2023 all over again, which, as much as I can agree with the science that is being tossed around by a number of other sources that, yes, this is going to be 2023, this is going to be 2010 again, we also have very, very favorable upper levels for the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico in the form of La Nina and our negative anomalies off the west coast of the Pacific. So, you know, we could make a case that maybe a lot of our activity in the Atlantic is going to inevitably go up and out. But that's not to say that we're not going to have a lot of activity close to home. And if they try to do the same thing, just go up and out, you're going to get hit. So we shall see what happens. We'll definitely see what happens. And with that being said, that's all we got today, guys. I mean, we're still going to continue to watch. We'll still continue to monitor what happens in the Caribbean. And we'll continue to monitor exactly what happens with our ENSO and all these other oceanic fluctuations that have been kind of just curtailing a lot of our preliminary predictions. We'll end it on, we are definitely in a cool neutral now. You can see we're at negative 0.2, so well into a cool neutral in our most favorable 3.4 index, the 3.4 ENSO. So everything is still shaping up. We will see. I still can guarantee that we're going to have a pretty busy hurricane season. It would take a lot to make it crash and burn. And I do believe that we're going to have to watch this more than anything, as PM is mentioning in the chat right now, as a matter of fact, which is how we're going to end the live stream. If we stay between 0 and, we'll say, 0.7, that's going to favor more out to sea, but also more Greater Antilles, Southeast, Mid-Atlantic coastline activity. But again, there's a lot of other variables moving around. We're not going to speculate too much because it's very quiet. We would be making things up at this point. So that's pretty much it, guys. We will go ahead and cut the live stream, and we will talk to you again on Wednesday. I really don't think there's going to be any dramatic changes over the next 24 hours. And please, 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 not only share this information for the sake of calming people down out there, because I feel like we're going to manifest a quiet hurricane season, because a lot of these other folks who just can't keep their excitement bottled up for that much longer, we're going to get way too excited and we're going to just start blasting every little wave, and Mother Nature's going to be like, all right, fine, you want to be silly and be dorky, then we're not going to do anything. We're just not having a hurricane season. So if you do happen to come across other folks out there who are suddenly mentioning tropical development, tropical storm, whatever, please, 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 I urge you, as David, not a weather forecaster, not a meteorologist, nothing, and not a content creator, I'm urging you as David, as a friendly human being, please don't get too wrapped up in that. Please don't get too crazy with it. It's probably not going to happen. I just took you through every piece of data that I could, minus, the finite variables like upward vertical motion, moisture, etc. And it's just not there. We're just not having it. So if you do happen to come across, watching this, then you can best believe that they're either trying to clickbait you, or they're just trying to make it seem like hurricane season is ready to rock and roll. Braden's WC, yes, I see you spamming the comment in that chat. I have seen the new Twisters trailer. And truthfully, after the last couple of trailers, I'm not as excited as I once was. I mean, I'm still going to go see it. I want to go see it on premiere night, especially since we'll be well into hurricane season. So perhaps we can do a review of the movie and talk tropics, but we'll see. I mean, yeah, it's cool. I definitely do think it's too Michael Bay and Fast and the Furious looking for me, but we'll see. Sometimes trailers can send you in the wrong direction, so your expectations are low, and you walk into the theater and, hey, that was better than I thought it would be. So we'll see. Time will tell. But yeah, guys, I hope that you take advantage of the Memorial Day. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and, before we end the live stream, let's just take, I know obviously you guys, but let's take a moment of silence for those who truly did pay the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom. And Lord willing, I never have to go that route during my military service. All right. Because I've gotten a few messages today, and I thank you very much for the messages, the Memorial Day wishes. I do appreciate the support regardless, but today is more so dedicated and meant to be honored for those who are no longer with us. The folks, as the name implies, we memorialize, we remember, because they did what they were supposed to. In honor of their country, in honor of their loved ones, their friends, family, and the patriotism that surrounds the United States. And the United States are, as the name implies, and I'm not going to get political, but I just wish that we weren't so, it's not the divided states of America, it's the United States. Regardless of your walk of life, regardless of who you are, where you come from, what you bring to the table, everybody in this chat right now, including myself and every one of you from the Caribbean, the United States, this chat is a very phenomenal kind of example of we're all united regardless of where it is you come from. And I know that a lot of you reside in the islands and other locations. You're still, obviously, you're a part of us because we're all chatting about the same thing. And that's patriotism right there. Standing up for those around you who serve and, follow the same purpose, regardless of what your background is and all the other things that people love to put on the table. And that's those people who have given their lives to support that and push that further through the years for their generations and generations to come. That's what today is all about. And so that's why we did our moment of silence, guys. And I hope that, again, you enjoy it for what it is. And if you do have loved ones who have served, and those who may have been lost as a result of combat, war, conflict, then my heart goes out to you. And it's a privilege to serve alongside them, or have served in the same military as them. And on that somewhat somber note, positive note, tropics are quiet, weather is going to slowly calm down, and enjoy the rest of your day, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you again on Wednesday at our traditional time, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll talk a little bit more about the tropics. If you're new to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button. If you like what you watched, if you want to see more, definitely hit that like button, share the information, and turn those notifications on so you don't miss a future update. And Drop me. Oh yeah, I gotta hit that last button. Comment down below if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or drop me a line on my personal social medias, my TikTok, my X, or my Instagram. I'm always on there, and I'm always blasting out day-to-day updates. And we'll see you next time. Thank you very much for being such a wonderful audience, guys. Happy Monday, and I hope that the rest of the week treats you magnificently. But you know the phrase. Until next time, this is Weather Center Nazario signing out.